All right, fantastic. And welcome to this week's episode of Curious Faith, questions and conversations for people thinking about following Jesus again. I'm Bill Wallace, and I am your host for these. Thank you so much for continuing to join us. We have just really enjoyed having these conversations, all kinds of different folks, all kinds of different people engaging with them. And I'm really looking forward to our conversation today as well. If you're watching last week, not just listening, you know that last week we were very fortunate, very excited to be able to have a conversation with people that were directly within my bubble so we could have a conversation without masks. We're doing that again today, although I've cast a little wider net than my direct family. No, instead I dragged in one of our employees who has to work here all the time. So we're in the bubble as well. Welcome, Simone.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
I'm glad you say that, and I believe that you really are happy to be here, not just because I'm your boss and you have to be. Yes, that is the right answer. Perfect. Thanks for joining us again. The conversations you've been on before have been a ton of fun. I've really appreciated your insight. You are somewhat new on staff, and so, we're still getting to know each other a little bit, too, and that's been kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I thought, as part of what we always do with these, just a way for our listeners to get to know us a little bit more, I thought maybe we could share a slightly embarrassing story about ourselves as maybe just getting to know each other a little bit more as well. And I had one in mind that I thought I would share with you. I know that you are a softball player. I, of course, am just a casual softball player like most people. When I grew up here in Washington State, when I was engaged to Sarah and we were getting married, we moved back to Minnesota. I was going to school out there to seminary. And so I got to know some of her friends, and they were great, and they were trying to welcome me in the community. And so that first winter, they invited me to play winter softball with them. And I said yes, because I was trying to make friends and just try and join in. And I was pretty confused by the idea of winter softball, but I figured, whatever, it's totally fine. I'll just join in. And so now one of my best friends, Dave, came and picked me up for that first game. And he didn't notice, and neither Sarah noticed when I left, that I had on pretty much all the clothing that I had brought with me, because I was so confused how we were going to play winter. It was freezing out. It's 30 degrees outside. There's 2 feet of snow. So I've got, sweats and long johns and then a heavy jacket and gloves and mittens. And I guess it didn't look that ridiculous because normally you just wore that out to get to the car anyway. But we go and we get in the car, and then Dave drives me to a field that's in a bubble. It was indoor softball. I had no idea.
Oh, there you go.
I thought, did we tie a long yellow string to the softball so that when it went in the snow, you could still see it? I was so befuddled by all of this. So we get there, and I quickly, was able to take off all this clothing and get down to, normal softball gear, and didn't tell anyone for years because I was so embarrassed by it. But
wow.
There you go.
That's great.
Yes. So that's my favorite softball story.
All right. Should I just tell a softball story or an embarrassing
Totally.
story?
Totally up to you.
Man, it's hard to think of embarrassing stories on the spot for me, just because not much embarrasses me. I'm just kind of used to it at this point.
No, that's cool.
The thing I guess this isn't a story that's fun to share, but the thing I get most embarrassed about is just public speaking, which is funny because that's a portion of my job.
It is now. Yeah, you've totally been dragged into that.
Yeah, but that's when my face turns red and I get embarrassed. Is just when I'm doing a presentation or doing something else, and that's when I feel the most embarrassed. So.
Perfect. Good. So that'll be in the 6-month review then.
Yeah.
That'll be
at least most improved player, right?
There you go. Thanks for doing this. And excited about our conversation today. One that I think from a number of different angles, really curious as to your perspective, and one that honestly I've loved talking about and have admittedly probably struggled with for a really long time. As we continue to talk about faith and people wanting to be part of faith, whether or not people stick around within the faith, I think one of the great challenges for the church that we've got to do a better job is figuring out how to do more than just mountaintops. That's a great conversation literally around here. Beautiful state of Washington, gorgeous. Out of both of our windows, we get a pretty fantastic view of the Cascades. Your view is better than mine, by the way.
I win.
Right. So, we see these gorgeous mountaintops from a church standpoint, but quite honestly, I think in all kinds of aspects of life, the more I think about it, we have grown accustomed to relying on mountaintop experiences as these amazing, powerful, exactly that experience, that just stays with you, that marks kind of something going on in your life. And again, we can talk about that from all kinds of different angles, but I think about that in the church world. We got to know each other because you worked at camp. I've been to camp. I'm a huge proponent of camp. We talk about this all the time with kids going to camp. They have these amazing weeks, these incredible weeks, these powerful weeks where they're surrounded in this state of wilderness. This amazing pastor that comes and shares these incredible talks that change their life. Hang it out with college age kids that just model how to live a Jesus life with all of them, and then mom and dad come and pick them up on Saturday, and they go back to the real world, and they're off the mountaintop, and it's gone.
Yeah. It's a real thing.
Right?
Totally is.
I mean, that was your job for the last couple of summers. You're a little closer to that experience, I think, just from living that, I suppose, itself. Yeah. What on earth are we going to do about that?
Yeah, well, as you were talking, a few things popped in my head, so I'll just talk about one of them. I just thought of, in, moving out to Washington.
Yes.
So in general, the actual mountaintop experience, I was living for the weekends when I would go for a hike and when I would go, snowboarding, whatever. Those adrenaline rush, big things that would build me up. But the other things I found to be super life-giving were my friends here. And so I was thinking those big mountaintop experiences, they are awesome, but they only last a certain amount of time and you kind of have a come down from them. But friendships are everything, and you can have those little mini mountaintop experiences through relationships. I feel like that's an organic way you can have those experiences without having to do something crazy. You have those big moments through doing tiny things with just people you love.
Yes. I think that is probably the hook right there that we need to figure out. And I totally agree when I think of snowboarding. I don't know that I've done many mountaintop experiences myself. I've lived vicariously through others. Like my kid did skydiving not too long ago.
Nice.
Some of those, and they're awesome and they're amazing. And they don't last. He got down on the ground after jumping out of that plane, and he was like, I want to go again. But it was a lot of money.
Yep.
You can't just get back up in the airplane and go. It doesn't work that way. There's got to be something that sustains beyond those things in whatever it might be. But I think that's it, right? You're talking about from a relationship standpoint. I worry that within the church, within romantic relationships, I think even within friendship relationships, we do the same thing. We have this buildup of this friendship only works if we're out at a concert, seeing BTS on stage together. Oh, that was so great. That was so amazing. And next week, if we're just hanging out at the house, playing Wii Sports or whatever it might be, right? Is it going to be enough, or are we drawing people into this idea that it's always got to be this mountaintop high all the time?
Yeah, I think that everyone could probably speak to this, is you have some of those friends. I think you even did a sermon on this recently. You have those friends that you hit up just to go out and do the crazy things.
Yep.
And then you have those friends that you can just sit around with and do nothing, and it's still just as fulfilling. So it's about having those deep relationships, and I don't know, what's the difference between those two friends? I don't know what it is,
Man, that's a good question. And it's not like the one friends are bad necessarily, right? It is, but it's just kind of recognizing the category that maybe they're part of.
It's where we put God in that, Like, is he our mountaintop friend that we can just do a lot of stuff with, or is he our friend we can just chill on the couch with?
No, that's really good. Well, and so then that gets to it. Like for us as a church, and I'd be really curious for people watching and listening, kind of their church experience from this standpoint. I've been to a number of churches. There's a part of me that has a jealousy of churches that essentially create mountaintop experiences every weekend. You know, they have the budget and the lights and the band and the speaker, and it's like this, you know, it's like a concert. And, you know, you got 1,000 people in there, and it's amazing and it's powerful, and that's really, really cool. We can't do that.
Right? Yeah, not everyone can do
Right?
that.
Like, yeah, most people can't do that, in fact. Is that burden on us that somehow we've got to match that? Or do we lean into the fact that that's not going to be our strength, and instead we try and create these sit and chill experiences? I'm not. We've got to come up with a better title than that. But
Yeah, Netflix and chill. Yeah, I think that it is some churches' forte to have those mountaintop experiences all the time. And if that's what you want, maybe you will go. If that's what you feel like you need, maybe you'll find a church like that. And I mean, I guess there are different churches for different reasons. And so it's maybe about finding what your congregation needs or your congregation wants to have, maybe. And then creating those relationships with the people within so that you can keep forming the stronger relationships with each other and making that the focal point rather than the big experiences, but just having those people. Like, I remember at camp having the prayer partners every week and just checking back in every week was very small, but it just made you feel comfortable and made you feel connected to something.
yeah.
And so maybe just keeping little things intact can be a big thing.
Man, I like that a lot. Might have to come back to that because that was really, really good. Something you said at the start of that really spurred something for me that I think within the church, quite honestly, and again, I'm not sure if our listeners get this. I think the majority of churches, again, can't do the mountaintop experience every week. The majority of churches do something smaller. And I think, being one of those quote-unquote smaller churches, I think there's both a jealousy and a disdain, I would say, even for those mountaintop experiences. You know, they do something that we can't, but they're not as real. See, we're doing the real work, we're doing the relationship work, we're doing the personal work. And again, you said that, you know, there's different churches for different reasons. Wouldn't it be nice if maybe we celebrated those churches that were doing something that we either aren't doing or can't do, instead of feeling smug or arrogant or jealous kind of about that?
Yeah, that's very true. It's always, you know, you always want to compare and contrast and
We
be
all
like,
do,
oh,
right?
you know, we're better because of this. Like, they're just about the production. They're not doing real ministry, but
Right.
that's so not true. And like, they have their reasons for doing what they're doing. Their goal is the same, hopefully.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm sure there are churches that's not true, but
Yes.
I'd like to think that that's not the case
Right.
for most of them.
I mean, who's to say which is the right way to do it? Everyone has their own opinions and whatnot. It's just about, celebrating what you do have and working with what you do have and the people you do have and, like, hearing what they want, because they're the, like, whole reason, just relating God and Jesus to the people that you have and the people who are in your community.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Goodness, so good. So again, you just sparked me into so many rabbit trails I want to go down.
I know.
So then,
Chip one off.
but like going back to camp, going back to those kids, then one of the things I worry that we do set them up for is that we do create this mountaintop experience and then aren't able to see it through. You know, like we aren't. There's no handoff for them to continue in that. One of the things about working at camp is that I think you guys get a little bit of ramp up and a little bit of ramp down, depending on kind of how you signed up. I know some people they don't get that. You know, like they had to come a week earlier or leave a week earlier and a week late. I'd be curious, just, how can we set people up for success? Because even in a church of our setting or a camp or whatever, like people are going to have these mountaintop experiences with God. God is awesome and will do that in all kinds of really cool ways. So then if we can't be a place that's going to be able to provide that every single week, how do we provide the slow ramp down? How do we provide the ongoing prayer partner? Like, how do we do that? Set people up for success instead of a crash and burn failure.
Yeah. I guess maybe it's about, you're talking about a ramp. So that just that visual in general, just doing that, making a ramp so that you have those big mountaintop moments and then you have something maybe a little smaller like following, and then you like slowly ease back to, okay, yeah, this is what we are at the core of who we are, and this is the core of everything. And then we have those moments where we're like building it back up. I don't know exactly how that looks, but keeping that visual alive, maybe when you're planning those big moments, to have it surrounding by little lesser moments until we're like easing back into everyday life. I don't know. What do you think?
That's I do like that a lot. I like that image. And again, there are people that are going to just want to jump from mountaintop to mountaintop to mountaintop. But I think the majority of us, in terms of our life and in a lot of aspects of our life, if we're going up ramps and then down ramps and up ramps and down ramps, that's going to be a much more sustainable in anything. Again, just thinking about it from a relationship standpoint, having been married for a couple of years now, like we've had cool, awesome, amazing mountaintop experiences as well. But one of the reasons why I think our marriage has worked as well as it has is that it hasn't just, gone up to, these huge peaks and then crashed back down. That there's always really cool highs, but then other stuff that, just continues to sustain that ongoing relationship. And I guess I don't know any other way, being the only marriage I've had, but I can't imagine this type of a relationship and that being nearly as enjoyable or fulfilling as the one that we've had. So then how does the church do that? How does the church do that actually and make sure, think if there's really maybe a problem for churches and how we do things, how do we make sure that there's still ramps and not just flat line, beep, right? Like just going through the same motions all the time. How are we creating, again, a slow ramp up mountaintop experience? Because I think if you don't have that, you are missing something, right?
Yeah, I think so. The how question is something I don't really know right now. But I think that it is really important to have those in between spots to make the high moments feel high still too. Like going back to general relationships, the ones where you are just like all big high highs and low lows, those ones are pretty messy usually.
They're exhausting, right?
Yeah. You don't want to exhaust your congregation, You want them to like have moments where they can feel peaceful.
Come to Jesus, be tired, right?
Yes, exactly. We can only tire you out every once in a while, even just like, I think even just meeting on Sundays or if you're meeting twice a week or something, like that's even a bit of a little peak there too. I just had a thought, like last Sunday I was talking with a couple who comes here, and the male in the couple was like, all right, I'm out of words, it's time to go. like that was a high for him, just coming to church and having to be social and interact, which is good, but some people, that's a lot. So just finding what each person needs their little highs to be throughout. I don't know.
That's so good. And I think part of it is it's a little bit of work for the folks involved. I think we all have a little bit of comfort factor, where we get drawn to kind of what we know. And in so doing, maybe miss out on some peaks that are right there. Just that there's a cool opportunity for something that might really change a relationship with others, might change a relationship with Jesus if you've always kind of kept him at arm's length and have never really thought that this could be for you. And so clearly people keep giving you that ramp and and you just never go up on it. Yeah. That for me is, boy, yeah, that really gets to me as that image. How is there a way that we can make sure that people see the ramp and give it a shot? Think, all right, maybe I've been on there before. Maybe heck, I hit one of those peaks once and really crashed down and never want to do that again. But this time I'm going to give it a shot.
Mm-hmm. And how do you get people? Maybe it's just like having a team in your church that you can have that. So it's not just the people who are, the most involved, but taking a step back and seeing, what do my people actually need to stay feeling that connection with God? Mm-hmm. Like, are we doing a good job with that? I don't know if it's because I know like with your church, it's everything's pretty transparent and people can say what they need, but maybe there's not enough opportunities to like say what you need out of the church. So maybe it's just a taking the step back, looking at the bigger picture, regrouping. And I'm sure that happens a lot, but
no, that's good. And then just even within that image, maybe a recognition that people are going to be at different spots within that journey, at all that. And if people feel really empowered to be able to share that and talk about that, right? I mean, you think of again, hiking. I can think of a couple of times, one in particular, when me and my two of my best friends in high school, we were going to do a hike, actually just around here, and we were in high school. We were going to Lake Serene, which sounds beautiful and amazing, and it's Lake Serene. Well, we picked it because people were no longer allowed to do the hike. It was so dangerous that they had closed it and they wouldn't give any information on it anymore. And so we went back in the old wilderness guidebooks until we found one that still had it and it was still approved. And so we're like, oh, this is the one that we're going to do. We had never hiked, we didn't know what we're doing. We're a couple of cocky high school boys. That was our one awesome factor. And so we convinced our parents to let us do this. And we all convinced our parents by using the same line. We all said, it's called Lake Serene. How hard can it be? And so we drive up here, we go down Highway 2, and we park at the end of this just ridiculous Forest Service road, and we start walking, and we're not really sure where we're going. We've got this little guide from the map that's 30 years old at this point. And these people come by towards us, and we're like, hey, you guys come back from Lake Serene? Yeah, we tried. Man, we couldn't find it. It was brutal. This is the third time we've tried finding that stupid lake, and we were never able to get there, and we're just heading home. We're like, huh, okay. So we just keep on walking, because again, we're cocky high school boys, and we're like, so we keep on going a little further, and then another guy comes down with his dog, actually. We're like, hey, are you coming back from Lake Serene? He's like, wow, yeah, kind of. Like, I thought maybe this was going to be the year that I would be able to find it, but I didn't. We did end up above it. Like, we were way up on this mountain peak, and it was totally dangerous. I could look down, I could see the lake, but I couldn't actually figure out how to get there, so then I had to find my way back down, and, he's just going home, too. We're like, oh my gosh, this is awful. This is terrifying. Yikes. And we kept walking, because we're, again, it's a cocky high school boy, still ready to go. And then finally, one other guy comes walking down towards us, and we're like, hey, have you been to Lake Serene? It was a couple. And they're like, yeah, we go all the time. You get up to this one big open way, and everyone thinks you're supposed to go straight, and instead you got to go left. And then these little tiny pink ties, these little markers, and they mark the path all the way up there. You watch for all those, and you'll get there no problem.
Okay.
And that was it, right? We did it, and we found our way to Lake Serene, and it was awesome and amazing. And actually, since then, the Forest Service has totally changed it, and now it's easy to get to. Everyone goes to Lake Serene, but like we hold on to that story, and there's no way, zero chance we would have found the lake. We would have been lost in the woods for sure.
Yes.
Except someone had showed us the way. And I think about that from a church standpoint. How we've got to give people that have been up the peak, or maybe who have been on the other side as it's going down even, a chance to tell the people that are on their journey, hey, this is where I've been, and maybe look for this marker and look for that place where to go.
Okay. Just drop some wisdom like that, why don't you? All right. Wow, that's amazing. Props to you for that one. Yeah, let's show them the marker. Oh, wow, that's great stuff.
Yeah. But then, right, like on a weekly basis, maybe, honestly, yeah, this is just like good staff talk now here. Everyone's just listening in on good staff conversation. We need to create space for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying, you know. Maybe we should do like testimonies, you know, have people share their story.
Yeah, share a little bit of story or some things from that standpoint. Yeah, I mean, the more I wonder the church model of again a guy or a gal like me stand up front and imparting knowledge, in a monologue form for 20 minutes. Hopefully there's still a place for that, or I'm out of a job.
Yes.
But yeah, if we're not building in opportunities for people that have just been on this journey to share their marker experiences, again, I keep coming back to that kid who leaves camp, and failure is too strong a word because it almost implies like it's the failure of the kid, and it's certainly not, right? It's the failure of us that we set this kid up.
Right. Yep.
We set him up for this awesome and amazing week and then didn't help him come back down the mountain. Right? We're doing that, I think, all over the place with all kinds of people.
Totally. It brought me back to like the first podcast we did, talking about the place for kids in the church or something.
Yeah.
And, oh, shoot, I might have just lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Something about kids. Oh, yeah, and having their mentors, you know.
Yeah.
They're showing them the way, but the kids can also teach the mentor something. And I guess it's something like that. You want to have people that you can, it's not just the pastor you can learn from in the church. You can learn from every single person because everyone's been at a different point in their journey. And everyone's still on that journey. So just like having avenues to be able to share your story, learn from someone else's story, get something from someone else's story. I think that's definitely a big thing. You got something there.
I like that a lot. That's good. So, yeah, takeaway for me again, I clearly love camp. Would send any kid to camp, and have sent all my kids to camp.
My first experience with camp was being a counselor in college.
Wow, for real?
Yeah.
Good on you.
Yeah, so sad I didn't get to experience that as a kid, but love camp. Anyways.
There you go.
Carry on.
Move on. Move on, nothing to see here. But yeah, there's got to be some self-awareness with the kid at camp, with the amazing Christian concert, with the marriage weekend away, with whatever these mountaintop experience might be for you in any avenue of life. The work retreat, oh my gosh, especially at my age, anybody that's listening, how many times have we gone to a work conference, and we heard from this amazing CEO about this amazing way that you're supposed to do your work, and then you go back to your job and, boom, it's gone. Like, these mountaintop experiences are so great. We've got to somehow flatten out that return, both on the way up and on the way back. And if we're not doing that, shame on us.
Gotta simplify the takeaway.
Yeah.
Like you have that mountaintop experience coming down from you you have all these things. There's too many. You can't hold on to all of them. And so it's, figuring out like what's those takeaways I can chip off the things that I've learned on that big thing.
Ooh. Yeah, that's really good. Well, yeah, what a great way to do that ramp down. You'd be like, all right, what are the 5 things that are most important, and what's the one you're going to start with?
Yeah, I think that's big.
Yeah, very good. So, for all of you listening and or watching, what were the 5 things that you learned from today's podcast, and what would you take away from that? I'd really challenge anybody listening or watching to think on that. I know that I am.
Yes.
For me, I'll say, I think finding opportunities for other people to share their story on the ramp, I think that's really, really key for us. We're going to work on that.
Yes. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
This year.
Stay tuned for that as more of that happens.
Yes.
That'll be good. Thank you. This was a fun conversation.
Yeah, I agree.
Interesting where it all went. I hope you get up on a mountain sometime soon.
Sure.
Spring is coming. It's going to be amazing and gorgeous. So
Yeah, I hope you do too.
I need to. Yeah, it's been a little while for me. Last mountain I got up on, all I did was ski down it a couple of times. So
Yeah, that's something.
that was something. Need a little more than that. Need to go back to Lake Serene. That
Yeah.
was.
I need to go there. It's on my list.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
So, so you've heard of it?
I have.
It is. I know. Yeah, everyone's heard of it now, and I'm like, I
knew
went.
it before it was
That's
cool.
right. Before I went when you weren't supposed
I
to
heard
go.
that band before they got big.
Right. Right. Yeah. I have the cool T-shirt.
Yeah.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining us. For our listeners, just so you know, we're going to take just a brief hiatus from Curious Faith. Easter is coming up. We've got a lot kind of going on with that. And so we will put these on pause for just a couple weeks, but we will be back and would love for you to join in with us as just we continue to dive into, some fun conversations. And maybe our bubble can expand. We get more vaccines and all that. We can do a few more of these, even face-to-face. Perfect. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you heard one thing that you want to take with you from what we talked about today. And until next time, we'll see you later. Thanks for joining us.